Good afternoon and welcome to Baha'i Chat. We are happy that you have joined us today. In this settings, we have conversations that deal with justice, unity, and the connection of hearts. This series has been going on for some time, wherein we look at the two aspects of humanity's development, that is the spiritual and the physical aspect, and how those two things join together to help us produce the kind of society that we're all striving for based on oneness. So we're so happy that you chose to be with us, and we hope you will continue to do so as we delve into who we are based on those two goals and our opportunities to develop the ideas that there is but one race, and that is the human race. We have a very special program for you today that we think you will certainly enjoy. We have a mother and daughter team and some very, very unique art that you perhaps have never seen done before. This is our first time to hear of such things. And the person whose art is being featured is Damita Hicks. Welcome, welcome. Damita is a very passionate person in thinking about her art. It is done with a new technique, which is done in crayons. And even beyond that, it's about what she is doing, what she is portraying. When she talks about it, she says she is being inspired by God to do these things. What she sees is what she puts on the canvas, and that all of that, each one of those pieces have a message. And her principal one that she's showing us today is Mama Afreeca. And she will explain to us that big connection. We're so happy to have you and to have this opportunity to view and hear what that's all about, Damita. Yeah. And sitting next to her here is her daughter, mashallah. She's also an artist in her own right. She has, I guess the thing about the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Mashallah is a graduate of University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill in communications. She's a videographer, a poet, a writer, and photographer in graphic designs. And she's also written and produced her own short series for UNC Student Television. And so it's wonderful to see a mother and a team here working together to uplift us and understand our reality through art. And also another thing that one thing that we should definitely mention, and that is that mashallah also does graphic design and youth program for Partners in Racial Justice. So we're so happy to have both of you and look forward to your sharing your art and your vision and the connection of all of that to us here on this program today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Charles. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for allowing us to present today. I have a new painting I'll be showing at the end, and I just thank everyone for all of your prayers. I could feel the energy, so and you will see the results of that in my new painting. We are ready to begin.
Did you say something new today? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, new painting, and yeah, I've been working on that, so I was up all night. So,
well, we are so privileged. All of you here today are so privileged. This is the first time that her new painting has been shown. So great. Thank you so much.
This is called Mama Afreeca's Miracle Message to Humanity. And this is a truly inspired program, inspired by God, and I'm just happy to share with you today. Next slide.
This is the day in which God's most excellent favors have been poured out upon men, the day in which his most mighty grace hath been infused into all created things. It is incumbent upon all the peoples of the world to reconcile their differences and with perfect unity and peace abide beneath the shadow of the tree of his care and loving kindness. Also, it says that in truth, she will be the greatest factor in establishing universal peace and international arbitration. Assuredly, woman will abolish warfare among mankind. And finally, it says, justice is my gift to thee and the sign of my loving kindness. Set it then before thine eyes. Let us all seek knowledge and pray for the blessings of the glory of God. One God, one people, one great family.
So next, we will actually show a video I made several years ago for Mother's Day. And when I first started creating videos, actually, I wanted to create something that was from the heart and to show that, you know, I really support my mom and appreciate my mom and her dream to create unity in the world. So I never actually thought I would show this video because to an audience because it's kind of amateur. But my mom, she really loved the video, so she wanted me to share it with all of you today.
Yes.
Once upon a time, there was a queen named Damita. She was a very fair queen and wanted to find a way to help her royal subjects. Queen Damita loved to go on peaceful hikes through the mountains. She would often talk to God and ask God what her next project should be. One day, it began to snow. It was so beautiful outside that she could not help but dance. Suddenly, the snowflakes began to surround her as if it was putting on a show. She began to see a beautiful image. It was a painting made out of crayon, a queen with a face shaped like Afreeca. That's when Queen Damita knew that her prayers had been answered. Queen Damita rushed off to her castle and began to paint with melted crayon. And she made a presentation to go along with her painting. She took it all around the world. It brought people together and showed people the beauty of Afreeca and its people. And that's the story of how Queen Damita changed the world with her painting, Mama Afreeca. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, I really love that video. It continues to inspire me and keep me going. So the next video is one that my son did for me. He wanted to animate Mama Afreeca. And so I did a poem, and then my daughter, Maishala, recorded me to some music that my son had done. So we'll show that next. Mama Afreeca's praise song of unity. Mama Afreeca's shining crown glows brighter than a horn. Her cosmic sparkle lightens every human being born. Ancestral breath sings, black butterfly go. Fly carefully over waters. Compassion, dedication, not ego exploitation. You're all my sons and daughters. Black pearls line her shores, bright diamonds fill her land, and emerald above engravings graces her headband. God is love, certain, pure, and true. Creation gave us life divine, divine in God are you. Kente cloth has mindfulness, a royal woven guide. Loving mama,
textured hair, mahogany skin, original human energies abide. Healing rivers flow down her cheeks, filling the lakes of her eyes, bathing love emotions where truth is recognized. Collaborating allies, active caring ways, vibrating loving gratitude for Afro future days. Inside her name is free, so humanity evolves, helping nature on our planet to survive as it revolves. Moral courage, honor, true forgiveness does align with bronze-skinned Christ-like care and will of the divine. Human souls transcend color, darker or lighter skin is fine. Let love change mindsets now at this heroic time. Her picture's worth more than 1,000 words. Her greatest wealth is truth. Display her excellent character, teaching virtues to our youth. 3 billion letters of shared DNA select us as her children. Racism separates, but healing's revealing. We're all Mama Afreecan.
Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed that. So the next slide. So this is how I began my journey of Mama Afreeca and seeing her face. So I was looking at a map of Africa, and as you can see Lake Victoria Falls there, and also you see the rivers, Lake Tanganyika, Lake Naija, or Lake Malawi. And so, and then the outline of Africa, you know, you can see the nose, you can see the lips and the chin, and then also on top of her head, most people would say, oh, that's the crown, that's the Horn of Africa, but I could see a crown, and so that's how I painted it. And I just felt like she really wants to be seen, and it just wouldn't leave my mind. You know, after seeing that face in Africa, I was like, I've got to paint her. And I began really praying about it, like, well, how do I put this together? How do I make the crown stay on her head? You know, and so when I thought about the crown staying on her head and just asking God about that, the headband came to my mind, you know, and so that kind of hooks in there. And the interesting thing about that was when my daughter Maishala went to California, and she saw a bust of like Cleopatra, and she had this that same kind of headband on. And so I looked that up to find out what the headband was about. Also, she saw that Cleopatra had cornrows, which they don't tell you about. And so I found out that the headband is for royalty. That was what the royal woman would wear in ancient Egypt. And so I also put the emerald on top of her head. And because God was so instrumental in helping me with this painting, I certainly did not do it alone. I put God is love on her headband. And the emerald is on Egypt, and they would call that part of Egypt, actually call it Lower Egypt. And that's because of the elevation of the land, but also the direction of the Nile. And so some people actually say that Egypt is not in Africa, and that's like so ridiculous to me because it obviously is. But because of all the majestic things there, the pyramids and all these things that scientists are still trying to figure out how and why they were built, it's just such an amazing thing. but it's definitely built by African people, people of, we would call Black people, you know? And so the other thing about this is the kente cloth. And I don't know if how many people know that the kente cloth was actually created in Africa and was only worn by royalty. And so now we wear it all the time, but initially it was for royalty, and it was to give messages to the people that they were ruling over. And it had all the colors in it that gave a message. It gave important messages of unity and love and, you know, positive messages. So in looking at all of those elements together, when we think about the crown, we think about the scarf, we think about the headband, we think about the emerald, all of those are royal things. That says majesty, it says honor, it says nobility. Also, her hair, the texture of her hair. So in showing that, and that's just how Africa is made, but that holds her headscarf on. And that, you know, is the texture of her hair. And so it just shows the beauty of our hair, you know, as being African people that you know, no matter what our texture is, but most of us, we know how our hair coils. So, and then with the ear and just all of the elements of the face were there. And so it was just a beautiful thing for me to be able to present that and show the world what I was seeing. And then with the butterfly, I'll talk about that a little later, but also that's very significant to me, the black butterfly. But that's Madagascar. And well, I can say this, that for Madagascar, one of my maternal ancestors was taken from there. And so I have that connection to Madagascar. She was taken from there because that's where they would send people from Africa to be enslaved. So it was like a point of no return type of, you know, they would take everything from them, you know, basically abuse them, you know, and get them prepared to be taken and shipped off to other places around the world. Yes. So next slide, please. So this one says, all things are of God. And this is the series of paintings that I'm really wanting to focus on today. Well, actually, see, I did the first two paintings. The first one is called African Aura. And then the second one, of course, is Mama Africa. But the third one is the one that I say God painted in the heavens. And we can see this is all made of stars and the dust, you know, chemicals, and that make up stars. So this is where stars are born. This is a constellation that scientists are really interested in because it's so bright in the heavens. And it really tells them about the creation of the universe or the age of the universe and how, how the universe was created in some ways. So they're really interested in that. But I'm interested in it for a totally different reason. And that's because it looks like Mama Africa. And the story behind that is that when I painted Mama Africa, that was back, and I started in like 2013 and I finished in about 2014 after receiving all these downloads from God on how to put her crown and her face and everything together. And so I was looking at some videos or looking through, you know, just YouTube videos, and I happened to run across one that said something like Black man's face in space, is this the end time message? And so being very interested in that, I looked at it, but I had no idea that at the end of the video, they were going to show this beautiful face that looked just like Mama Africa to me. And I was just totally, you know, just blown away by it. And so I asked Marshall, I asked my husband, I kind of, you know, I said, do you see this? Do you see this face? Do you see? that it looks like Mama Africa. And as I began to look at it and think about it, I was like, well, if this is the same face, is the butterfly there? And I wasn't quite sure at the time until the pictures were lined up together. And then I could see, you can see the butterfly if you look at all three paintings. And I would show the 19 different things that I see that are the same. Next slide, please.
Now is the time of loving welcome. Now is the day of salvation. God was in Christ, offering peace and forgiveness to the people of this world, and He has given us the work of sharing His message about peace. Africa's crown of glory, the star emerald, and the royal headscarf brings to mind the words of God to each and every one of us. O Son of Spirit, I created thee rich. Why dost thou bring thyself down to poverty? Noble I made thee. Wherewith dost thou abase thyself? Out of the essence of knowledge I gave thee being. Why seekest thou enlightenment from any one beside me? Out of the clay of love I molded thee. How dost thou busy thyself with another? Turn thy sight unto thyself, that thou mayest find me standing within thee, mighty, powerful, and self-subsisting. Mama Africa represents the true freedom written of by Baha'u'llah's divine pen, and I am grateful to be a pupil of the eye that he spoke about as well. My ancestors are also indigenous to America, a land that must exhibit God's gift of justice, unity, and peace for all of humanity everywhere. As Baha'u'llah said, the earth is but one country and mankind is citizens. My painting of Mama Africa and God's painting of Africa, made of stars and galaxies, are reflected mirror images of our common mother, since in harmony with science, our origin and mitochondrial DNA traces back to her. This manifests clearly the signs of the one true God, giving us certitude that we humans are created of stardust, are all one with the universe folded within us, and are all worthy of love. As above, so below, on earth as it is in heaven, the kingdom is God's, the earth is God's, the Almighty, the single, the incomparable, the all-knowing. Let us all embrace the cause of God for the sake of the whole well-being and harmony and safety of the world, and for establishing the kingdom of God on earth, so we can change Mama Africa's loving tears for all her children from grieving into tears of joy. From Damita Hicks.
Thank you. So in this painting, or in this painting of God, I should say, that by God, we see that there's a writing of Baha'u'llah who says, "Dost thou reckon thyself only a puny form when within thee the universe is folded?" And so for me, as an African-American woman, I think about the fact that that Baha'u'llah sees us differently, and I'll talk about that as well, the pupil of the eye. But this is the universe is folded within us. You know, we're taught to, or we're sometimes made to think that we're less than, especially as African or Black people, and we're not. And for me, Mama Africa shows what God really thinks about us and how God really wants us to know that we're way more than that, and that he truly loves us. So next slide, please. So here it says, "Thou art like unto the pupil of the eye, which is dark in color, yet it is the fount of light and the revealer of the contingent world. In this black pupil, you see the reflection of that which is before it, and through it, the light of the Spirit shines forth." So in reading words of Baha'u'llah, I found out that we, as Black people, are called the pupil of the eye. And it really gives us a certain station to help reveal the way things really are, because of what we've gone through, because of the spirit that God has put into us. And if we really understand that spirit, that love, that Holy Spirit that we have inside of us, then we're going to help humanity. And I feel like that's what Mama Africa is about, is to show humanity the connection that all of us have to one another, and so that we can all unify. So Mama Africa is like, she's the first mother, and that's mitochondrial Eve to scientists. They say that the first mother of all humanity who lives on earth, who is alive at this time, we all came from the same place, from the same mother, and we have that genetic link, which can be traced all the way back to Africa, to this one woman in Africa. So next slide, please. And so here we see, also, I wanted to talk about feminine energy. And that's what Mama Africa also represents. It's that feminine nurturing energy that we have, and that I feel is so key in living in this world today. And so here I will read this. This is a wonderful quote from Abdul Baha'i, who is the son of Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i faith. And it says, His Holiness Baha'u'llah has greatly strengthened the cause of women, and the rights and privileges of women is one of the greatest principles of Abdul Baha. Rest ye assured, ere long the day shall come when the men addressing the women shall say, Blessed are ye, blessed are ye. Verily, ye are worthy of every gift. Verily, ye deserve to adorn your heads with the crown of everlasting glory, because in sciences and arts, in virtues and perfections, ye shall become equal to man. And as regards tenderness of heart and the abundance of mercy and sympathy, ye are superior. So that really just shoots down anything that says that women are less than men, or that we can't do as much as men, or that we are not equal. So, and it's really, in the writings, it talks about the two wings of the bird. And the bird can't fly without both wings. So the women are one wing and the men are the other wing. And so we are both equal in God's eyes. As long as we live a truly spiritual life of love, then we truly are equal in God's sight. Next slide, please. So here is the black butterfly that I was talking about. The thing about the black butterfly is that when I was painting the picture, and I was wondering, okay, what kind of butterfly should I paint? Because I noticed that Madagascar looks like a butterfly. And so Maishla had gone outside, and she came to the house and she said, Mom, there's this beautiful butterfly outside. I said, oh, wow, take a picture of it, you know. And so she took a picture, and it just sat there for her just as sweetly, and she took several pictures of it. And so I knew then to use the black monarch butterfly as Madagascar as my image of the butterfly that I was seeing. Also, the butterfly represents the diaspora, those who were taken from Africa forcefully, and like I said, as with my maternal grandmother, you know, who was taken from there, they were enslaved and put into slavery. So, next slide, please. So I did want to talk about the Maiden of Heaven and the black-eyed damsel. And it's interesting to me, you know, and I'm a new Baha'i, and I always look for counsel in that. But this is what I see, you know, in it. And it looks like the Maid of Heaven that Baha'u'llah talked about. And these are some of the reasons why. It's because he said, we beheld the black hairs upon her white neck, as though night and day embraced in the most glorious spot. Now, for me, when I think about wearing a scarf in the way that Mama Africa is wearing it, then we can see on the back of our necks, like, you know, women, black women especially, we know that you can see the hairs on our neck when our hair is put up that way, even though we'll have a scarf on. And I also was thinking about the fact that it's not talking about race. It's talking about the pure white light. And so when I think about the image that is shown, that God painted in the heavens, it's showing that pure white light that contains all the color vibrations. And that's her white neck. And then the infinite rich black is the deep mysteries, holding all truth. That's the black eye. And I often wondered about that when I looked at, when I compared the painting of my painting of Mama Africa and then the painting that God put in the sky for us. I looked at the eyes and you know, you can just see the black part of the eye, the pupil of the eye, and not so much the white part, unless you consider that star over there, the white part of her eye. But that was really interesting to me, that Baha'u'llah talked about the black-eyed damsel. And so it's like he said it's like day and night coming together. And so that to me is that metaphysical reality is talking about the cosmos, is talking about there is more to life than just this earth. And so it's just a beautiful representation of that for me. And it also says, unveil thy face and manifest the beauty of the black-eyed damsel, and suffer not the servants of God to be deprived of the light of thy shining countenance. And so to me, just the fact that the Hubble telescope was able to take this picture and to shine the light on this image in the sky, and then we can actually see this face, it's just such a miracle to me. And the fact that when you put the two pictures together, you can really see the reality that this is a face, that this is the same picture. And so I just feel blessed to be able to share this with you all. And then it says, thus we recount for you, O concourse of paradise, the vision of eternity. Interpret it for me if ye understand the meaning of the vision of the Spirit. So for me, that's what I'm doing here. I'm interpreting what I believe is happening here. The meaning of the vision is a sign for us. This is a signpost for us to see in the sky and know the reality that God sees us and God knows who we are and really wants us to come up from our downtrodden state, from warring against one another, fighting against one another, from racism and all of the oppressions that people are doing against one another. So it's about raising our minds and elevating our minds to a higher thought process, a higher dimension, and really having that connection with God. So next slide, please. So here's one of my paintings. This is not the newest painting, but it is one of my newer paintings. And this is of Louis Gregory. And he was a lawyer who was one of the first Baha'is to join the faith. So in this picture, I thought about just how respectful and dignified that he looks. He actually was a tailor and made his own suits. And so you can just see how sharp he dressed. And then he, and being a lawyer, he wrote such wonderful things. I mean, really speaking for the unity of all humankind. And so, no matter what, he had this faith in God that he could hang around with people who were Baha'is and know that he was safe. He believed in God and trusted God that much. People would be concerned about him, and he would still say, oh, well, if God doesn't protect me, nothing will. He just knew that he could trust in God. And so in reading about him and learning about him, I asked God, well, what is his connection? Does he have a connection to Mama Africa? And so as I looked at his face, as I looked at his pictures, and then I at first I was just seeing like a bust like type of picture of him, but then I saw one where he was gloriously just explaining the oneness of humanity and the way that his hands were positioned. And I said, wow, and I combined those two together in my painting. And so he's holding the black butterfly, and for him, he's holding it before Mama Africa and just showing that we can be transformed, from out of that downtrodden state and from feeling that we're less than anyone else or thinking anything negatively about ourselves. So it's the black butterfly is about transformation, transforming ourselves, transforming our minds. And so there's several elements and messages in this painting. So first of all, we see Abdul Baha on the picture behind him on his wall. He was very instrumental in Louis Gregory's life. So as you see the white rose, so I'll explain about the roses in a minute, but Abdul Baha told one of the women to give him a white rose. And so when she did, she just began to feel feelings for Louis Gregory, because she was thinking, oh, they're just friends. But she started to feel more than that. And they actually got married. So they were the first couple, interracial couple to get married in the Baha'i faith, as far as I understand. And Abdu'l-Baha talked to him, and really helped him to see his faith as being so instrumental in bringing Black people and people of color into the faith. Also, you see over the doorpost. Now, anyone who's familiar with the Bible scripture, you know that there was a time when the blood was put over the doorpost, and then the angel would pass by, and know that this house was people who believed in God. Well, that's also the reason why I painted this image over his doorpost, and then I painted it in red, and that signifies this. This is symbol of the greatest name of God, which is the glory of God. And so that's one aspect, or one message within the painting. Also the doorway. There was another Black man, I think it was Robert Turner, I believe, and he was called like the doorway through which a lot of Black people would come. Also, the Bab was one of the founders of the faith as well, and he's called the doorway or the gate. So it just symbolizes lots of things within the painting. And then, as you see in the left-hand corner, there's a drop of water, and you see the concentric circles that when you drop water into a standing body of water, it makes those circles. So then there's also the image of the eagle. And so I will relate these things as well as the atom. And so I'm going to read a wonderful writing that really expressed my feelings. And then just seeing that this was something that Abdu'l-Baha had prayed. It says, oh my God, thou seest me in my lowliness and weakness, occupied with the greatest undertaking, determined to raise thy word among the masses and to spread thy teachings amongst thy peoples. How can I succeed unless thou assist me with the breath of the Holy Spirit? Help me to triumph by the host of thy glorious kingdom, and shower upon me thy confirmation, which can alone change a gnat into an eagle. As you see the eagle, so the gnat is changed into an eagle. A drop of water into rivers and seas. So you see the water is just flowing around Mama Africa. And an atom into lights and suns. And so I put the atom and then all these stars that are coming, that are surrounding Mama Africa. And then also we see a picture of the moon is breaking in half. And then out of it is flowing this super consciousness of God to show us that we are connected, that we are all connected. We should all be unified and understand, our connections to one another. And the reason why the moon is breaking in half, it was like during that time, it was a lot of racism, it was a lot of division. And so people felt like, well, in order for Blacks and whites to come together, the moon would have to break in half, for that to happen. So I'm actually showing that, because Blacks and whites are coming together, and the Baha'i faith is really a wonderful platform and spiritual way of life that really, that's the tenet, one of the main tenets of the faith is the unity of all humankind. So next slide, please. Oh, one thing, go back, please. I'm sorry. I wanted to mention. So I had in mind to just paint the hand that Louis Gregory is holding the butterfly in, but God had other plans for me. So this is something that happens just so many times in my paintings, is that because I pray also and God is helping me, but it's like things show up in my paintings that show me what to paint. And it was so fascinating that the hand, Louis Gregory's hand, just showed up, because I was just going to paint a rose bush over there instead of drawing his whole suit. I had plans to just draw like a rose bush growing outside of the doorway. And so I painted the red rose thinking, okay, that would be the start. And then I looked at it later and I saw, well, wait, there's a hand there. I could see the fingers and then perfect proportion for the way that his hand would be. And as you can see, and also it looked like he was holding the vase. So I made the purple vase because purple to me is about royalty, is nobility. So that color. And then the red rose was there. And then I also knew, like I could see, it's like I can see slight images of things. And then I know it just indicates to me where to put things. So I knew to paint also the yellow flower. And then we have the white flower and then the black rose. And then because I was going to paint a rose bush, I had already painted the leaves and I had extra leaves. But then I noticed, okay, to paint the bud, it came to my mind to paint the bud. And the bud, I used all of the colors. And you know what? When you mix all of those 4 colors together, you get a brown. and that is really to me about the young people that are being born. And it's about people coming together. Next slide, please. So here's another painting of mine. This one is new as well. I actually sent a full-size copy of this painting to the Universal House of Justice because I feel like it's that important. And this is Mama Afreeca, and then the Tree of Life has the roots coming from her. And this is really speaking about all humanity coming from Mama Afreeca and coming from Africa, of course. And then it also shows the world and the illumination of the world. And so here it says, the utterance of God is a lamp whose light is these words. Ye are the fruits of one tree and the leaves of one branch. Deal ye one with another with the utmost love and harmony, with friendliness and fellowship. He who is the day star of truth beareth me witness. So powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. The one true God, he who knoweth all things, himself testifieth to the truth of these words. So that's why I wrote, ye are the fruits of one tree and the leaves of one branch. This shows the healing power of God sweeping around the tree. And because we see that the broken part of the tree, like the bark is broken, but someone also said to me, they said, oh, those look like praying hands. So it's like the hands are still upholding. So whatever was trying to destroy humankind, whatever is trying to keep us separated and keep us fighting one another, God can still use everything and build us up for good and hold us up and uphold us and make us strong. So we see this strong branch coming out from that one root, and you see it's coming from Mama Afreeca's eye. So there's that pupil of the eye. And we also see the lightning coming down. And, sometimes we're afraid of the lightning and the storms and that, but it can also be for our good. And that's the power of God. And so I show that nobility again, that purple in the clouds. And so God is He's blessing us, and he is showing us the truth of who we are and how we can come together as one. The tree also has the different various color fruits on it, representing the different colors of humanity. We also see the bubbles and the bubbles with fire. So now the bubbles are coming out, and that's like people who get on fire for the Lord, who really understand and the knowledge of God and the love of God. And then, and also, so I painted 19 bubbles, and then 9 of them represent the Universal House of Justice. And so that's that they have the fire coming from them.
And I have a letter that the Universal House of Justice sent me that I would love to share with you, and I am so grateful for. It says, Dear Baha'i friend, The Universal House of Justice received with appreciation on 20th of December 2021 a copy of a painting you made titled Mama Afreeca and the Tree of Life, as well as your letter dated 10 November and its enclosures. The desire to promote racial harmony through your art is warmly acknowledged. You may be assured of the prayers of the House of Justice in the holy shrines that all your efforts in the path of service to the cause of God and humanity may be blessed and confirmed. With loving Baha'i greetings, Department of the Secretariat.
All of these things, it's just so many messages within this painting. You know, I could just talk about it all day, you know, but I don't have, you know, I'm not going to take up all of that time, but we do see the flowers, and that represents also the various colors and racial, you know, descriptions of various people. But we're all unified because we all make this wonderful garden of beautiful colors and beautiful flowers that God has created. So, next slide, please. So this is my brand new painting. So I've made a new painting from the old. And the interesting thing about this painting is that I was trying to give this to my son because he just built a house in Texas, and he made like a game room as well. And I thought, oh, this would be perfect to put in his game room. But it so happened that he wasn't able to take it home with him because it was so big. It's a 4 foot by 4 foot painting, and he just didn't have room. And I was thinking, well, there's a reason why I still am holding on to this painting. And so when the thought came to me, and this was also a conversation I had with one of the Baha'i women who was saying that scientists have found that the fetus inside the mothers of all the race, you know, no matter what color or race or whatever that we came from, we're all the same color in the womb. And so she said, that would be nice if you could make a painting like that. And then on another presentation I was doing, someone said, oh, Afreeca, that looks like the shape of a fetus. And I was just thinking about painting this, you know, this painting, like, and so that just really informed me of what I needed to do. And I didn't have another canvas to use, but I just knew, it's just impressed upon me that the paint women of these different racial descriptions all in one painting, all pregnant. And so this painting really just shows that flow of unity, that progression of that we're all connected. And then, you know, how we came from Africa and then migrated out, and became different colors, and because of the areas where we live, you know, our genetics are made where we adapt to our environment and our circumstances over time. And so this is showing that, and it's showing that each of the little fetuses inside of Afreeca on all of the women. And so that's my my new painting. So I hope you enjoyed that. For my next slide, I'm gonna. So my own conclusion is that there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That is really like Father God, childlike faith, and the Mother Spirit. So I think of Mama Afreeca as that Mother Spirit that is inside of all of us. You know, we can't get away from it because it's part of our DNA. It's our genetics. And so this shows scientifically our connections, and that we are all one, truly. And so, and this Mother Spirit is all love. It's that super subconscious mind. So we know that deep inside our hearts, even if we don't admit it to ourselves, we know that there is something about this, that we are one. And when we hear that truth, when we hear it, then it's going to resonate with our hearts. You know, if those who have an ear to hear will hear it and will know. And so it's that all-knowing Spirit of God. It's that love. And that was the impetus for creation. God created us in love. and wants us to love one another. And I also wanted to mention, there's a Nigerian born, so from Africa, there's this Dr. Gabriel Anduoyibo. I heard of him some time ago, but I hadn't heard much about him, in terms of like school systems. They don't talk about him. Why not? You know that that Einstein was trying to figure out the theory of everything and failed to do it. But this man actually did. He is the mathematician scientist who solved the theory of everything in 1990. And it means the God Almighty Grand Unified Theorem, which is GAGOT, if you just pronounce it that way. But it's represented by an absolutely exact mathematical equation, G, I, J, comma, J equals O. And it explains all physical phenomena. And he is being called the greatest mathematician of all time. But yet we don't hear about him because because he's Black? So I think his name should be out here, and he's really talking about God being that unifying principle. So, so that G is like God, and then that O is like, the beginning of everything. And where everything, all math, if you do a subtraction problem, no matter what number you use, if you subtract it from itself, you're gonna get 0. And so that's like the beginning. That's the foundation of everything. And so I just wanted to mention him and just, because it's about the intelligence of our people, and just, putting a true understanding of where we came from, and that we are all connected, and it's beautiful to be connected to African people, or people we consider Black, and that's okay, because there's diversity of colors and diversity of people, and we're all loved by God. So, and I love you all too. So thank you.
That is wonderful, Damita. That is so wonderful. And we encourage you, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. We'll give you a little time to do that. We're going to take a little small break, and that will give you time to ask questions about what she presented to us, and my goodness, and the new paintings as well. There's so much here for thought. So we'll just take a few minutes break, and then we will come back, and we'll continue with the dialogue. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah.
So we're gonna answer some of the questions, and I'm gonna ask them to my mom. First, I would like to start off with the wonderful comments. Barbara says, "Wonderful art, wonderful talk. Thank you so much." And then we have another one, "Wonderful presentation. Well done, ladies. Thank you so much for all of your support."
Yes.
We have a question from Camille. "How did you digitize your artwork, considering you created the originals by hand?"
Well, that's a good question for my daughter, Marshalla. Of course, she is my tech person, and so she helps me put things into the computer. She actually photographs them in very high resolution, and then she puts them into the computer for me. So such a help to me.
We also have another question. This is interesting, from Theodore Parrish. "Do your insights inform you about Armageddon?"
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking that. That is a really great question. And really that's what Mama Africa is about too, It's about, so Armageddon, if you understand the Bible and Revelations, and where it talks about these great wars that would happen. And, we see wars happening, rumors of wars, and then actual wars happening, and we see what's happening in the Ukraine and that. And also we want to remember to pray for them. But we see that lots of things are happening in this world. Now, the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah talks about this, and then there's a booklet called The Promulgation of World Peace, and it talks about there's a greater peace, and then there's the lesser peace. Now, the greater peace is if we come together, and the Baha'i faith talks about this consultative will. If we could come together peacefully, turn to God, and really work with one another and consult with one another rather than fighting about everything, then we can have a peace that comes from God without the wars. But if we continue to fight one another, and we continue to have separation with racism and all of these negative things that, we separate on, then this is going to be the cause of wars that will happen, and everyone really will suffer because this will destroy the earth. We have all these atom bombs and all these things like that. So I do want to read, there's a scripture in the Bible from Chronicles 7:14, which says, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. So we must learn how to truly forgive. And we have to understand why it's so important to forgive and how to do it, because I know that's one of the hardest things for people to do, and it's really confusing. And so I hope to, Mama Afreeca, I want to have like classes that we can talk about that we can consult with one another and figure out how we can forgive ourselves and others, because that's so important to me, because I know that negativity and hatred feeds on hate. And so if we have all this negativity, we're just making more come, So there is the principle of life that God put in the universe, that what we focus on, that's what we get. So let us put our focus on peace. Let us put our focus on that which will bring humanity together. And that's why I'm working so hard. That's why I stay up all night and paint these paintings with these messages and seek God's face and God's word and instructions on how to do things, because I really, 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 I love all humanity. I even call myself Mamita because I see everybody as my children, loving children. And, and that's no shade on anyone, because like Maisha is my youngest, but she's my best friend, and we consult and talk about everything. And that's how I see everyone. Being that I love everyone and God loves all of you, then let us work together and bring this peace to the world. Thank you.
Okay, so we have another question. So from Heidi, such amazing art, so inspired and inspiring. Thank you so much. You said you're a new Baha'i, but you've obviously read a lot. When did you realize that you were a Baha'i, and how did you learn about the faith?
That's an interesting question too, because I guess I was Baha'i before I realized that I didn't know anything about the faith. But one of my friends, who's a professor at USC, had given me some pamphlets from the Baha'i faith, and I thought, wow, the tenets of this faith are so interesting. I said, I believe in and I actually wrote in my own words. I wrote down the things that I believed, and that were the same. I said, well, this is really cool. And then I kind of just left alone. I didn't really, investigate it at that time. But I actually raised my daughter, Maisha, on Baha'i principles, not realizing it. There was a book, and it was talking about virtues, and it was like for children. And we would go through each of those virtues like every week. But they would perfectly match whatever she was going through for that particular week. And it was just amazing. And, we would just look at each other like, wow, And then later on, when I became a Baha'i last year, I saw that, oh, this person was actually a Baha'i, and I've been raising my daughter on this book, and it has helped like so much. And so, yeah, thank you for that.
So the next question is from Bill. Are the rivers below Mama Africa's eyes tears? And is she sad?
Okay, that's a great question too. Yeah. The rivers are the actual rivers in Africa. And that's Lake Tanganyika, and then also Lake Malawi or Lake Niger. Now, if you think about as far as if she's sad, okay, so the reason why I have to say, well, either Lake Niger or Lake Malawi is because it depends on what side of the river you're on. There's dispute over the waters, as there is over the land, because Africa was colonized. And so if you'll notice in my painting of Africa, the one called African Aura is actually behind me right there. I did not put the labels in, and that was because I found out there's this thing that happened in history called the Scramble for Africa, where where people, outsiders, colonizers from different places, and you can look that up, they came and they decided to divide up the land. They weren't caring about the tribes who lived there or anything like that. They just wanted the resources. So it was the divide and conquer mentality that they still use on us, and that we have to recognize and not fall for. So that's why we really have to come together in peace. And so as far as her Mama Africa being sad, the tears are also of compassion and love, and the saying to all of us, come together, stop fighting one another, recognize your oneness, and also being a mom myself, like I've always taught my children, like you have each other, like don't fight with each other. You're going to need each other as you get older. And they found that, and and I said, you're going to need each other, babysit and different things like that. So they, it really helped them. I really gave them that conversation because my older son had given me a paper called the Willie Lynch Papers. And even though Willie Lynch, I found out, may not be a real person, but that kind of mentality, that kind of way that they held us in slavery and bondage was by dividing us and having us fight against one another, like, or separate by, well, this one is less because she's female, or this one is male, or this one is dark, or this one is light. And, and that was the concept, was that this would, this kind of negative energy and thought pattern would be part of Black people's enslavement. And even when they got out of slavery, it would still last for 400 years or more. And so, and that's what's continued to hinder us, like crabs in a barrel, jealousy and fighting, one another. So we have to recognize the truth that we are wonderful people, and that we have to support one another, that all of us are gifts of God and gems of great value to God. So, yeah. So I think her tears are tears of compassion, but also they can become tears of joy. So I know that because sometimes I cry just because I'm so happy. And so it is, we want to make her tears of joy. So thank you for asking that question.
So Nadima asked, how can I share my own artwork with you? So.
Oh, yes. You can definitely put your email in the chat, or I'll put my email. Masha will put it in, and you can definitely send me whatever that you have, and I will look over it and you can share it with me.
So, Kenton sent a really awesome message. I don't know, do you want to read it?
Oh, okay. I'll read it. It says, "Dearest," with 3 exclamation points, says, "Your contribution to the concept of spiritual or metaphysical art is stunning. Loved your blend of aesthetic, racial, scientific elements. That, along with your technique of an ethereal color blend, beautifully harmonized the apparently incompatible elements of the earthly and the heavenly. Thank you much for such a creative introduction to my mother, Afreeca. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that.
No, thank you. And we have a question from Dana. Brilliant paintings, enjoyed the symbolism. Could you please tell us about Dr. Olivo and the everything theory that he solved?
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, he actually was, I'm not sure if he received the Nobel Prize, but he certainly was one of the potential recipients of it. He is actually looked up to by scientists. So in the scientific world, he's well known. You know, when it came to the race in space and other things, you know, in the military and things like that, his calculations are invaluable to the scientific community. And so the everything theory is the theory that everything has this this wonderful, you know, this mathematical equation, is like a simplified and that's what he did. And so I read that, you know, the equation and what that is, and it's in beautiful simplified form, and no one can dispute it. You know, it makes perfect sense. And so you can look him up. I looked him up recently and found out a lot more about him. So yeah, definitely remember the name. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you. And we also have some more comments. Christine says, fabulous art. Thank you for your inspirational work. And Susie says, beautiful. We need positive affirmations for all nations.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. And,
yeah. So I actually have a question. You mentioned how you would like to create a Mama Afreeca movement. So what would that look like?
Well, I'm thinking about the movement as far as like having classes where we could discuss, like I talked about the consultative will of people. So, you know, like I would love to have a class on virtues where we talk about that. Actually, Maisha has done classes. She started that on her own because she knew how much it had built her character. And so she wanted to help her friends and people, even her cousins and that, young people, and mostly women, but of course, I guess guys are welcome as well. But yeah, so Mama Afreeca, I think, is just like a very good foundation for having these classes because we can see the importance. You know, we do see the tears, we do feel the energy of that feminine energy, that loving, nurturing energy. And so it makes us want to do better, you know, because we know if Mama ain't happy, then nobody's happy, right? You know. And so we want to make her happy and we want to truly, you know, come together as one. And so the movement would be about that. And then also about how we can forgive in this world, because, you know, being that that's one of the hardest things to do and figure out, well, how can I forgive somebody, you know, who's hurt me deeply and you know, trampled over me. But forgiving doesn't mean just allowing yourself to be around that person and be hurt more. Is more about freeing yourself, freeing your own mind, freeing yourself, and being able to release from all of that negativity inside of yourself. So I would love to have classes on that.
So in addition to that, what kind of programs would you like to see, like, you know, people coming together, different organizations?
Yeah, well, my daughter and I talked about that. So we want to have organizations who are doing things in their communities, especially Black organizations or people that are, well, let's say allies as well, people who are working for that reason in their communities, but don't know about all of the resources. And, you know, each one working on this separate thing, you know, and they're missing out on what's going on with other people who are doing similar things. So just bringing them together so that they can get to know one another, and then work together on the problems and work for solutions, because we see the solutions. We see what really needs to be done. There's been so many times that people have come into Black communities and claimed, oh, okay, we're here to help. But, they nothing really got done. Program ends and the money's gone, but they get the money, but our communities get nothing. So we've seen that over and over. And so we want to change that. And we want to change that paradigm. We want to bring real healing, truth, and work to our communities. And so bringing organizations together would be one of the main ways. Thank you.
So I don't know how much more
you.
time we have. Oh,
Thank you. We do have time for one more question. And guess whose question is that?
I don't know.
Anyway, it's so wonderful. There were so many connections in all of the things that you did. For instance, the idea of the fetus, all fetus inside the womb being the same color. We never talk about that. So all the other things are layered. And so I think I just wanted to ask, like, if you wanted to just put in maybe in a capsule, what do you really want people to leave from this session with? What would that be?
Oh, well, definitely leave with joy. Leave knowing that God is working this out. and leave knowing Mama Africa, feeling her inside of you, knowing that she is connected to you. Like I said, it's in our DNA. She is a part of us. We are the part of her earth, of her soil. We are made of the soil of the earth. We are made of the dust of the stars. So all of the chemical makeup that makes up that star system that we see, that God painted, and all of the soil of Africa, we are made from. And so know that inside, and know how deeply connected you are to Mama Africa and to all people. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for making that connection. It's all about art, the impact of art on personal development and self-identity. And that's a big thing today, especially among our young people. Well, really, it's among all of us. But our young people have energy there. They're still putting their lives together, and they're really our future. So we want to again thank Damita and Mashallah for doing this for us today. It's a whole new image of who we are. It's kind of elevated, it's connected us with the universe that we're in, with the country that we're in, that we're all spiritual beings. And one of the best ways to understand that is through the medium of art. And so we are really very, very blessed to see that in Damita today. And we see it grooming beautifully in her daughter as well. So any final word, anything else you guys like to say before we take off?
Well, just want to make sure I love you, and you are wonderful, and I see you as all my children. So, but that's in a loving, caring way, and just keep on keeping on. Keep your eyes on the prize.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And for our audience and participants, we don't really consider you're participants. You're always welcome the second and fourth Saturday and Sunday to Oneness Chat. So enjoy the rest of the day and the week, and be happy, and look at the stars, look at all the beautiful images of art that have been demonstrated for us today.